You're listening to Joy Coaching America with the Joy Coach, Karyn Lynn Grant, spreading upbeat, uplifting, informative messages of hope and happiness from sea to shining sea, from our home in the beautiful Rocky Mountains.
Welcome to Joy Coaching America. This is Karyn Lynn Grant, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. I just love it when I get to interview a dear old friend who I may have lost contact with for just a little bit. But you know, when you are dear old friends, it's like you just pick up where you left off, and it's like no time has ever passed between you. So today we are interviewing Spencer Masterson, who is a master herbologist. He hails to us from Arizona, and I'm excited because Spencer is going to tell us the story of what catalysted a fantastic, amazing herbal company. And Spencer, I just want to have you join me right now and just begin to share the wonderful story of, first of all, how we met, and then this incredible story of your mother and the legacy that she left you.
Right. Yeah, Karyn, it's good to be with you. Yeah, it's been a while. And I met Karyn through John Canaan. He's a musician, singer-songwriter, pretty amazing music. And he introduced me to Karyn. It was like, it was back in like, well, I can't remember what year it was, but it was about 2001. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, 2001 or so. Yeah. And so I was telling John about, I was writing a book and I dedicated to my mother, and I'll go into that. And Dr. Christopher, where I got my degree as a master herbalist, and amazing what I learned from my mother to Dr. Christopher to the School of Natural Healing. And growing up, my mother always talked the power of music, how it has vibrations, how it could change our mood, our attitude, and just how we feel. And so when John was telling me about his music and gave me some CDs, and he told me about Karyn, then when I met Karyn, I go, wow, these are the two I want to talk about in my book, about the power of music, how it can affect us. And even I read a book on also Mozart, the Mozart effect, that I met someone that told me, hey, there's a book on Mozart, how it affects about the tones and the frequencies, how it actually shrunk tumors. So anybody's got tumors, start listening to Karyn Grant's music along with Mozart, right?
Mozart, called the Mozart effect.
Yeah, Mozart effect. And that's in my book. I talk about the Mozart effect too, how it can make a difference. They even did studies with women that having babies in labor, that they use the Mozart music to kind of ease the pain. It actually eases pain up too, because where they're listening to music somehow eases pain. And pretty amazing how the power of music can affect our mind, pain, our health, even jumpstart your immune system. So I started listening to the music. I started getting the CDs of classical music and the Mozart music and all this. And so it made a difference in my mood too. It made me calm, feel really, I don't know, in a really good mood. And also it talked about brain. It helps you think better. And they actually did studies on his music about the IQ of children, how it increased, and they paid attention in school more and how they made better grades. I thought, wow, this is amazing. So music does affect you. And my mother would talk about classical music and stuff like that. And from time to time, she would play it. And I got really close to my mother because she's the power of music, the power of prayer, color therapy. She'd talk about color therapy and, of course, herbs. You know, my mother had type 1 diabetes. So she was trying to search out how she could heal herself with her condition is, it's the pancreas that shuts down. It doesn't produce the insulin on its own. So you got to use a artificial insulin. And back then, back in the 60s, when she was diagnosed, they didn't talk about type 2 diabetes at all. And now type 2 diabetes, there's like 80 million Americans have type 2 diabetes, and most of them are overweight. So I guess in another segment we can talk about that. I'm not sure on this one, but yeah, my mother was a mentor to me. She was my teacher. She coached me, and she led me when I was a young teenager, 16, 17. Dr. Christopher came into town, and he wasn't a doctor that, helped my mother with her diabetes, because this doctor, or Lynn Johnson was his name. He did iridology, if you heard Bernard Jensen, and he did chiropractic work. And so him and his wife would do classes in the evening on juicing with the champion juicer, and raw foods, more whole foods, and herbs. And so he would sponsor different people coming into town out of state and lecture in the evenings. So he had Dr. John Christopher come and lecture for like a whole week in the evenings. So I went with my mother, my dad came, and he would lecture on how to heal the body. And he tells his story. Dr. Christopher, I don't know if you ever heard of Dr. Christopher. He's, everyone in Utah probably heard of Dr. Christopher. That's where the school is. And he talked about his rheumatoid arthritis. He was born with rheumatoid arthritis. That's like a autoimmune disease, and a stiff joints, and you can hardly walk. He was like more or less a cripple. And so he's 25 years old. He's like in a wheelchair, and he read in the scriptures. This is really powerful. That really hit me too. He read in the scriptures in, Doctrine and Covenants, section 89, about eating wholesome foods, taking mild herbs. And it says, this is so powerful. I promise you, you walk and not be weary, and run and not faint. That means we shouldn't have any health problems. We shouldn't have the four main conditions that Americans have. Is number one is heart disease and cancer, and 3 is type 2 diabetes, and 4 is obesity. And I always say a few extra pounds that Americans carry around because they're not eating enough whole foods every day, plant-based, they're not taking herbs and not cleansing. So Dr. Christopher said, okay, because it promises if we do that, we'll be healed. And it says the destroying angel will pass you by. Well, that destroying angel is the angel of death, illness, and disease. So just more whole plant foods, take some herbs, and we'll be healed of any kind of condition. Because Dr. Christopher, when I heard him, he said, and then when I got into the herbal classes and his books, would talk about cleansing, whole foods. You do that, you reverse any kind of condition, from heart disease to any cancer to type 2 diabetes and obesity, because we're eating too much fat from animals and dairy and processed foods. These processed foods are GMO foods, very toxic. And Dr. Christopher talked about the number one cause of all these foods, dairy, processed foods, is GMO foods, genetic modified foods, is mucus. He said mucus is the cause of those 4 main conditions in America: the heart conditions, any cancer, and type 2 diabetes, and being overweight. So anyhow, that's what Dr. Christopher taught. And so I kind of like carried that on, what I learned as an herbalist, that so the mucus foods are like ice cream, cheese, dairy, and processed foods with processed sugars, because processed sugars, refined sugars, is 1 molecule from crack cocaine. That's why it's so addicting, those foods. They put it in ice cream, everything. It's like in the processed food. So we need to get organic sugars, like coconut sugar is really good. And go organic. If it's not organic, it's going to be GMO. You don't want GMO, any sprays, any processed, because, Americans over the years became processed people. God didn't make us to be processed people. He made us in our image. If we stick with the whole foods, like I mentioned with the scriptures, whole foods, some herbs, good clean water, some exercise, we get vitamin D from nature, from the sun, and that's how it builds our immune system. From whole foods, the herbs, sunshine, exercise, that builds the immune system so you can get rid of any kind of health condition you may have. You just got to go back and say, okay, what am I eating? Does it have an eyes, face, or has a mother? I tell people, don't eat those foods. All your time of, sparingly. So that's kind of like my introduction to a plant strong diet. Mucus is the cause of every condition. So, if you want to get a condition, just eat a lot of mucus food. Lots of ice cream, cheese, a lot of fat, because cheese has a lot of salt and dye, and those mucus foods has no fiber. So it's hard on the digestive system to eliminate it out of your system.
From sea to shining sea and beyond, you're listening to Joy Coaching America Worldwide with show host and Joy Coach, Karyn Lynn Grant.
Welcome back to Joy Coaching America. I'm having so much fun listening to you, Spencer. I love what you stand for. I remember coming home one day and you were out sunbathing on my lawn, just in a pair of shorts, just soaking in the rays. And my kids were like, who is that guy? What's he doing? So you were just talking to me between segments about grounding and the grass and all of that. And one of my questions for you, Spencer, is if a person's listening, because I know you are super enthusiastic about all of this, but if a person is wanting to change their life and change their lifestyle, are you someone that somebody could call and arrange for coaching sessions? Because I really don't know of any better coach on all of this than you. So go ahead and talk to me about that.
Yeah, I just recently set up a brand new website with my coaching program to coach people, because I noticed over the years they take my products and I kind of like briefly talk to them about it, how valuable the products are if they stick with it. But because we're human, we got the habits. Boy, habits are the hardest. It was hard for me to get rid of my ice cream addiction. I was addicted to ice cream and also soda pops, years ago in my 20s and early 30s. I quit in my early 30s, but it was addiction. I didn't know that refined sugar was like crack cocaine. And they put a ton of that in the ice cream too. The cheese thing, I do cheese crisps and cheese crisps on my hamburgers. So, cheese is like leftover whey from the dairy. So it's dairy, it has no fiber. And they put tons of salt in the cheese mix when they're mixing it up, and dyes. Those dyes are cancer for me, very cancerous. And with the salt, which is refined salt. And so salt and sugar is fertilizer to cancer. So those are the causes of cancer and fatty liver and type 2 diabetes. So on my coaching program, I put together my 5-pack addiction program to get people off the dairy, the cheese, and too much meat. Meat once in a while is not going to hurt you, but mucus will, and processed food. So the mucus from dairy, cheese. Everybody puts cheese on everything, and the dairy and the processed food. So my coaching is about the 5-pack addiction program, and also about what foods to eat. And so I went plant strong. I call my slogan "Plant Strong with Plants," like living plants from nature, and from a seed, not from an animal. It's from a seed. So when you plant it, it grows, and that's where all the phytonutrients are in the plant foods. Is in from the seed. It sprouts up. That's mean it's live. It's got live energy, just like live music has frequencies and energy. So does live foods have these incredible energies that when our body eats it, it supercharges our electrical system. It goes right to the cells, the organs and glands, and gives them all these phytonutrients of live nutrients. And it has fiber, so you can eliminate it. So it supercharges your immune system also. So that's what live foods do. Now, herbs is higher frequencies. That's why you only need few herbs that really charge your electrical system. Man, it just charges your immune system. It also attacks anything that's negative, like cancer cells. The cancer cells are trying to mutate because they're taking over. Because people get cancer, they're on the sad American diet. I talk about the sad American diet: too much meat, too much dairy, processed foods. Those 3 foods are like dead food, no frequencies. That's why people get sick. So if they change those 3 foods, and I coach them just like I was coached. I had to be coached. I just started wake up, hey, Mom, I'm going to do exactly what you told me. No, it took time. And then after in 93, when I went to school to the master's certification classes for 2 weeks, man, I was writing notes and everything. I go, God, he talked about chicken, our scavengers. That's like the worst meat of all. And people have chicken, everything, hey, we have chicken in the salad, we have chicken this and that. Well, because the way those chickens are fed, they're given antibiotics, because they get infections and viruses and all that. So they give them antibiotics to kill the infections, so they still can stay alive, so they can end up, killing them. And just 2 weeks later, they just send it off to the grocery store where people's going to buy it. And plus it has fat, and fat meat does not have fiber. So we need foods that have fibers in it to help us digest, because it goes right to the gut, to the liver, and then to the colon, the final stage where you get eliminated and get it out of your body, like poop it out. But if you don't poop it out the next day, then it stores up, and that's where people get fatty liver. Fatty liver is really rampant. Most people, if their stomach's sticking out a little bit, like here's the liver, like right here. It's really the largest gland organ in the whole body. And so the meat and dairy and processed foods, those 3 dead foods, adds up. It's where people stomach gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And they wonder what happened, because those foods are very addicting. Even meat's addicting, just like processed sugars and dairy. Those 3 foods are very addicting, so it's hard to overcome the habits. So in my coaching, I teach about how to get rid of the habits, because I say, if I can do it, you can do it. So it's a journey we go together, how to overcome the temptations of meat and dairy and processed foods. And these herbs, taking the herbs in your cleansing, you slowly get rid of that addiction. So no longer you like those foods anymore, because that's how I got rid of mine. So I thought, okay, I'll put a program together, the 5-pack addiction program. Eat like Spencer. I got my recipes on my website. I can give my website so your listeners can go to my website, go to my coaching, and then Eat Like Spencer. If you got any health conditions like type 2 diabetes, which is the most popular in America because the way they eat, it's just a pre-diabetic state, because all that fat, as I mentioned before, from the too much meat, processed foods and too much dairy, ice cream, yogurts. They go, what about Greek yogurt? And I go, well, that's all about advertising and marketing. You know, I don't even know if the Greeks eat that because they don't like mucus. Anyhow, my website is newlifeherbs.com. So it's NULIFE herbs, HERBS.com. So newlifeherbs.com is my website.
So Spencer, I have a question for you. This is wonderful information. And you've mentioned that you do personal coaching. So when a person signs up to do your coaching, I'd love to get pricing. Even you can share your pricing if you feel comfortable, but do you have a questionnaire so that you get to know them? How do you do an initial intake?
Yeah, that's a good question. You go to my website and you read my protocol, what I do about my coaching, and then you can give me a call, and then I want to do a free consultation with you. I go over your condition and what goals you want to set, how to achieve this, because my mother was very unique about setting goals. She says, Spencer, if you don't write it down, you'll never change, you won't do it. You got to write it down. The power of writing is so powerful, as you know, Karyn, the power of writing, because if you never would have wrote your music if you didn't write it down on a sheet of paper, like what words, what lyrics I want to use and all that. So I go over that on my book. So here's the copy of my book, The 5 Treasures to Better Health. That's the name of my book. The back of it, there's a journal. We got a journal. We're going to journal your journey, how to heal your body, whatever your condition is. It can be reversed. It's so easy to do, and it's easy not to do. The not to do is mean you're not going to take action and do anything. But, you know, we all need a coach. I learned from the best, from my mother to Dr. Christopher to David Christopher, and I read a lot of books, how to heal the body. And we go over all the foods that are good for you, plant-based foods, and a lot of foods that's destroying your health and making you gain weight. And whatever health condition you have is what you eat is what you become. So food is so powerful. Live food is the best. Dead food causes illness. So there you go. That's my coaching program.
Welcome to the Loving Liberty Radio Network.
Welcome back to Joy Coaching America, raising the world's vibration to love, joy, and peace, one happy listener at a time.
Welcome back to Joy Coaching America. I am having so much fun. Spencer, I'm not saying a whole lot. I'm taking it all in because you are a wealth of knowledge. And when it comes to sharing this information with passion, and the way that you have continued your program, the way that you fell in love, gained a testimony of the power of eating like this and being so nutritional and the power of herbs. This is not something new with you. 20 years ago, when I met you, introduced to you by John Kanan, you were just as excited, just as dedicated, just as wonderful in your sharing this whole program that you have. And I remember when you were writing your book and you put information about my program, just my music, because of how I also share with you the love of vibration. And I do believe that food is vibrational. It is powerful. And boy, with my body, I can tell a difference right away if I'm eating macaroni and cheese or if I'm eating power greens with organic mangoes blended up in a smoothie with organic cherries and organic blueberries and a little bit of a couple teaspoons of flaxseed. So that being said, it's a big change to change your diet, and it starts to cleanse your palate. So coach us with what can we expect to see in the first week if we are a chocoholic, if we are, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich person, or we love steak and we love eggs and we love all of that. I don't really love meat, but how do you coach a person to take these baby steps and make changes so that they can start to feel a difference in their food choices because they want to do something different?
Yeah, my 5-pack addiction program, there's one, well, when you cleanse the liver, see, when you cleanse the liver of all the fat, because it goes right to your liver, because the liver is the filter. So we start cleansing that liver with the fat and the toxins and poisons out of your liver, and you're cleaning it up. Along with my metabolizer with Gymnema. Gymnema is an herb that's it's a sugar destroyer. And because of the processed foods and salt that's in the cheese, stuff like that, people, do salt. It's not, organic salt or sea salt or Himalayan salt. You start to get rid of that addiction because you're not craving those foods as much when you're doing a liver cleanse, along with, that's one of my products, the liver colon parasite cleanse, along with the metabolizer sugar blocker. That's the name of my metabolizer sugar blocker. That's the product that has Gymnema in it that really blocks that cravings, the sugar. After a few days, I'm not craving the sugar as much. I'm not craving the ice cream, the meat, not as much. So after about 2 weeks to 3 weeks, you're not craving, slowly getting away from those foods. And you're substituting with other things. As on my coaching, I substitute like cheese, for instance, for avocados. Avocados are soft. And those, what I talked about is alkalizing, alkalizing the pH. People are craving processed foods and meat and dairy. Those are very acidic foods. So we got to change the pH. So when you're cleansing and stopping the sugar-rich foods, and making your pH too acid, too acidic, then slowly the addiction to those foods, it tells your brain like, okay, I'm not, because whatever you eat, everything goes right to the brain and says, hey, I gotta eat that. That's why we get those cravings of the mucus foods and the processed foods, right? So even dairy. So when you start to cleanse the liver, the sugar blocker, and then I got a meal replacement too. So you got to replace those foods with live food. So that's part of my program is a 5-pack. Like real quick is my hemp protein. The hemp protein is brown rice protein. It's got flaxseed. It has organic greens. Like I'm in the greens big time because that is a super food that really helps charge your your pH, the pH is in your blood. So you wouldn't want to do, the greens is supercharges the pH to be more alkaline, like 7.4 is where our alkaline pH should be. So people are craving stuff. They're so acidic. That's why they're craving stuff. They're too acid. We need more alkaline. Like you was talking about, you're eating chocolate or something like that, or macaroni and cheese, that's acidic food. So your body was telling you, I need greens. So you went to your greens or, fruits, that's alkaline. So then you felt a little bit better, didn't you, Karyn? So that's the protein, the hemp protein with the organic greens, the colon liver parasite cleanse, the metabolizer, the sugar blocker. Those are the 3. Like the 4th one is my organic wheatgrass juice powder, the wheatgrass formula 7. That's my multiple vitamin for over 30 years. That's all I take is wheatgrass is high in vitamin A, B12, vitamin C, more vitamin C than citrus seed supplement. And it's got vitamin D too that we need for our immune system. The vitamin D has also vitamin E, and it has calcium, zinc, and 100 trace minerals along with the wheatgrass. It's amazing superfood, and that's high alkaline because it's a green. So that's going to charge your pH to be more alkaline, like more 7.4. So that's the fourth one. So the fifth one, if you remember that, my fifth one is stress eliminator. Stress to eliminate stress, anxiety. People eat too much or the wrong things. Their nervous system is out of balance. So they need to nourish that nervous system. And the stress eliminators with passion flower, it's got chamomile, it's got hops flower, it's got gotu kola for the brain. So it makes you feel relaxed during the day, but you're alert. You can focus better because the brain needs food. So gotu kola is a brain herb to nourish the brain. If you lose memory or something like that, gotu kola, that's in the formula. And then, that's the formula. Passion flower, they did studies. It's in my book. It's on my website, all 5 products. But the passion flower, they did studies with even children that weren't focusing. It helped them focus better. And women that had menstrual cramps with their periods, it helped relax them so they didn't have crampy, cramps while they're having their period. It helps hormone balancing, the nerves, anxiety. Instead of an antidepressant, you just take this formula. I got people off antidepressants and medications on the stress eliminator to help the nervous system, because when you nourish those wires, or a bunch of nerves, like 70,000 nerves, it takes the tension off and it feeds it. B12, like passion flower, has a lot of B12 there, so it's a good B complex formula too. So that's the 5-pack addiction program, those 5. So you can go to my website, newlifeherbs.com, read about the addiction program, and then when you start my program, you eat like me. So I got like 3 basic recipes, meals, the meals that I eat at night. So I do my herbs in the morning. At lunchtime, I do my hemp plant protein. And then at night, I do my Eat Like Spencer. And so real quick, the 3 meals are, if you like beans, like I like pinto beans, black beans, white northern beans, kidney beans, and garbanzo beans. Those I put in an Instapot. You ever heard of Instapot? It's on my website. Just push the button, the bean button, 20 minutes, you got beans cooked. And they, on my website, talks about the study with beans, how it destroys cancer. It has fiber. And they have minerals too. See, live foods and herbs have minerals. So we need minerals and live foods, and fiber that helps us digest. So you got the beans, sweet potatoes. My next one I like. I do a lot of sweet potatoes. So they got regular sweet potatoes, purple sweet potatoes, white sweet potatoes, like an Asian sweet potato. And then my third one is quinoa. Quinoa, if you like quinoa, rice, that's kind of my third one. I throw on the beans. And my sauce is like a basil tomato sauce, whatever kind of sauce you like, throw it on there.
Welcome back to Joy Coaching America, raising the world's vibration to love, joy, and peace, one happy listener at a time.
Welcome back to Joy Coaching America. This is Karyn Grant interviewing Master Herbalogist Spencer Masterson, who has his own line of herbs inspired by his ongoing amazing relationship with his mother. And Spencer, it's really funny because I live in Mapleton and I am 2 miles away from Christopher's Herb Shop and about 4 miles away from the institute where they teach the herbology class that you're talking about. And just the other day I was there at Ginger's Cafe and with a friend, and just looking over all of the books, and I just felt so drawn to the books on herbs and just learning all about it. It's always been fascinating to me that you have studied this, that you know how to put these herbs together. And you were talking about your 5-pack formula that's only $139 for a person to have all 5 products to overcome food addiction and addiction to those cancer producing, candida producing foods and dependencies. That it's just so exciting. So on the break, I ran and put white potatoes and carrots in the oven because I was so motivated by this. I just thought, I love eating this way. It is so fun. And it's the one thing in a very changing world that we can have control over. I think the one thing that we really have control over is how we take care of our own bodies and how we do our own self-nurturing. We don't have any control over what's going on in the world. We don't have control over many things, but there is a beautiful sense of peace and godly confidence that comes when you are taking care of your own temple, your own body. And so I just appreciate all the study that you've put into this, all the research, and the way that you've lived it. Because so many people, we want to say we're completely 100% plant-based with a few M&Ms along the way. Of course, those are planter peanut based with a little bit of chocolate coating. So I'm not 100% plant-based, but I love what you're doing, Spencer. And I want you to just share with us again, the website, the 5, just kind of summarize again. I love hearing what's in those herbs, but just share with us what we can expect if we sign up for coaching with you.
Yes, my coaching program, I came up with, normally my coaching program is going to be for like 6 months. Normally it's like 3 months, but through the years, people, they may stick with it for three months, but I'm going to add another 3 months on top of that. You get me for like 6 months, a half a year with me, and I guarantee you'll change. You'll be doing your potatoes, your beans, your quinoa, your vegetables, and your favorite fruits, along with stick with the 5-pack program. Because I've been on this 5-pack program myself. I take it first thing in the morning for years. It kept me in shape. I don't have a pot belly. I'm 66 and I got like a 6-pack. It's amazing how that works. So I don't eat the fat. I got pretty good muscles, still good muscles. So
I love it. I love that that you're 66 with a 6-pack. I think that's awesome. And Spencer, I haven't seen you for years. I lost you. Let's see. I think the last time we talked was in 2007, could have been 2008. And so I haven't seen you. It's now 2022. It's been 14 years and you haven't changed. You haven't changed. You just look awesome. And it's so exciting. I really want to put a plug in for this, because if a person is not happy with their energy levels, if you're not feeling good and you just don't know what to do, I can honestly say that as I have been implementing more plant-based into my diet, it's really changed my energy levels. I think when my husband got sick with COVID and he had stage 4 cancer, he's still working through that, and he's down in St. George and going through, a big process. It really, I felt so out of control with what was going on with his body that I wanted to take better care of mine and just kind of devote myself to that word of wisdom, those words of wisdom that you had taught me about. I remember all the way back into 2001 when I met you through John Canan, and you coming over and just sitting down with me and saying, Karyn, this is so important. And I do believe it, and I have a passion for it, and I'm excited about this show. And I hope that those who are listening, who just want a change of life, who want a change of energy level, who want a change in their diet, they're not feeling good, you're not feeling good with what you're doing, I just really want you to know that my friend has been doing this for at least the 21 years that I've known him. And the proof is in the pudding. And You're still shining, Spencer. You're still shining. So share with us in those 6 months. What does it look like? Is it a weekly program? Do you talk to us once a month? How much is it? What can we expect if we enroll with your coaching program?
Yes, Karyn, it's for 2 weeks. You get me twice a week for 1 hour each, twice a week. That's for 3 months. After the 3 months, you're addicted to what Spencer eats. You're cleansing your liver, all the toxins and poisons, and whatever health condition. I help people with type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and reverse it in 30, 90 days. Like within 3 months, it's gone. Even those that are on medications, they just slowly wean themselves because now they're clean inside. When you're clean, we got a clean liver and a clean colon. Guess what? Your pH is 7.4. No disease can exist in that environment. It can't exist. It's gone. That's how easy it is. But the hard part are the habits. The habits is what I hammer on. I drive it in to get rid of that addiction habits because I had it. So that's why I can help you get rid of that habit because we all got certain habits. And, being with me for 3 months, the habits are pretty much gone. So you get me another 3 months after that. That's once a week. After 3 months, you go, hey, that's pretty cool. So you do it once a week to report back to me to make sure you're on the path to stick with Plant Strong, cleanse and nourish the body. And also, I like to cover like rebounding. We're going to rebound together, exercise. I've been rebounding for years. My mom had a rebounder way back in the 70s. She taught me about the science behind rebounding with the lymph nodes going up and down. When you're going up and down, I think Karyn got a rebounder. Okay. And I got a rebounder. It's a cellar sizer. And when you jump up and down, it helps the lymph nodes. And it helps the circulation and deep breathing. I learned about deep breathing. Just by breathing, you can help circulation. You can destroy cancer just by breathing correctly. So while we're rebounding, I go over that, the importance of rebounding, the importance of deep breathing, get enough oxygen in the body, gets everything moving. People got health problems because they're not breathing. You got to breathe. You need oxygen. Oxygen, water, good clean water. And so I go over that from diet, Plant Strong, to cleanse that liver, to rebounding, deep breathing, say your prayers, listen to Karyn's music, and get in tune. Get all those frequencies and all that energy charged up, your immune system going. And I'm all hyped up about educating people to sharing my education with others to go Plant Strong and cleanse and nourish and pay attention to what you're eating, because why do you want to eat dead food when you can so much abundance of live foods? We need live foods in our body. It makes us alive. So that's my story of my coaching with me is get on a plant-based diet. The first 30 days is going to be a struggle because, I was on that path too and struggling like, oh God, what am I going to eat? Well, that's why I have the 3 meal plans of what I eat, from beans, sweet potatoes to quinoa with vegetables. And, if you like salads, you make a good salad. And we're going to ditch the dairy. That's like number one, ditch the dairy. That means no cheese, no processed dairy. None of that. You can replace dairy with like coconut milk, almond milk, oats milk. Oat milk's popular. All those nut milks. It's easy access. Grocery stores have all that good, healthy nut milk. And then we're going to ditch the cheese with avocados. And also nutritional yeast is what I do a lot too, nutritional yeast. That's like a nutty, buttery, like a cheese flavor. That's like your cheese fix right there is the nutritional yeast if you use that, Karyn. So that's what I get people on. And within 3 months, it's like, hey, I changed. I can go more Plant Strong now. Yeah, when you get with your friends and family members. They're not going to be plant strong like you, so it's going to be temptations after 3 months. But you're going to remember what I say to you and what your habits are. That you're going to remember me when you go for something that's meat and dairy. You're going to go, hey, Spencer told me this, so I go, wow, okay, so I'm going to be with you wherever you go. Believe me.
I love it.
Yeah, so that way you'll change.
I love it, Spencer. And I wonder if you have Plant Strong t-shirts, because I think that would be so fun. I think that just to infiltrate, I love that you're doing coaching 2 hours a week. I think that's really important. It's so important to have someone to return and report to, and to be able to be excited about your progress, and you're so enthusiastic that it's just so fun to communicate those changes with you, because you really celebrate people's success. And I think that that's what makes you an excellent coach. I've known that about you for years, and I haven't even talked to you for 14 years, but I remember the enthusiasm that you approach Plant Strong with. And I'm so excited that we have done this interview today. I have loved it. It's been a super shot in the arm, and I really want you to know how much I appreciate you today. This is Karyn Lynn Grant with Spencer Masterson, Joy Coaching America.